Hi dear friends, welcome back to High Point again. In this video, we are going to look at the structuralist anthropologist known as Claude Levi-Strauss. This is quite famous. He is quite famous, and we know him as a structuralist anthropologist, and we have already done some videos related to structuralism and about some theoreticians related to structuralism, and he is one among them. And he lived from 1908 to 2009. We will be looking at his biographical and career details as well as some text and concepts related to him. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to it for more videos related to English literature, literary theory and cultural studies, and also press the bell icon while you subscribe so that you get a notification when we upload something in here. Okay, and also follow me on Instagram for a variety of materials for needed for your NTA, which is in of English language and literature paper 2 especially. And go and visit my website if you are seriously looking for some simplified, well arranged and affordable study materials along with free bonuses of personalized study guidelines and free weekly test. The link to the website is right there in the description box. You can click it and go. And also follow me on Instagram. If you have any doubts related to the materials and the course that we are providing, you can use this number, WhatsApp number, or use the Instagram ID to reach out to me. Okay, moving on about Claude Levi-Strauss. Claude Levi-Strauss, about his life and career. Let's see. First of all, he was a French anthropologist and ethnologist. Okay, do remember his nationality as France, and his works were key in the development of the theories of structuralism and structural anthropology. So do remember Claude Levi-Strauss as a structuralist anthropologist, and do not write his name as Strauss. Okay, it's always Levi-Strauss. Levi-Strauss says like this, not Strauss. Okay, or Claude Levi-Strauss. You can use the full name or you can use the second name, but use it Levi-Strauss, no Strauss alone. Okay, he held the chair of social anthropology at the Collège de France between 1959 and 1982 and was elected as the member of Académie Française in 1973. He was a member of the School for Advanced Studies in the Social Sciences in Paris, and he received numerous honors from universities and institutions throughout the world. So this was about his life and career in brief. Let's see some major concepts by Claude Levi-Strauss. Levi-Strauss argued that the savage mind had the same structure as the civilized mind, and that human characteristics are the same everywhere. So he mainly went to certain groups, ethnic as well as tribal groups in Africa and many other part of the world, and he lived with them and he observed people and he came into conclusions. And he argued mainly that the savage mind, that means the mindset of the people who are not that civilized, who are still living in forest and living as tribes, their mind has the same structure of the civilized person's mind. Human characteristics, whether that person is a tribe or a savage, uncivilized or civilized, human characteristics are the same everywhere. So if you make a close examination, you can find this. These observations culminated in his famous book Tristes Tropiques, published in the year 1955, that established his position as one of the central figures in the structuralist school of thought. So his observations about tribes, civilization and human minds and all these kind of things are culminated. It is there in his work Tristes Tropiques, published in 1955. As well as sociology, his ideas reached into many fields of the humanities, including philosophy. So sociology was his main area, but his ideas in the fields of humanities reached in disciplines like philosophy. Structuralism has been defined as the search for the underlying patterns of thought in all forms of human activity. Okay, structuralism was about the search for the underlying patterns of thought of all forms of human activity, especially in literature. So what is the underlying pattern? If you understand that underlying pattern, then you can understand that work in a better way. Okay, so whatever you need to know about that structure, about that work, is there in that underlying pattern. There is no need that you go outside. Structuralist approaches to myth. So he mainly studied myths related to various ethnic and various tribal groups. Levi-Strauss identified myth as a type of speech through which a language could be discovered. So myth speaks a language. Myth is always available in a language. Myth also speaks in a language. Myth also speech through a language, and it's a kind of speech, it's an articulation, it's a discourse through which a language could be discovered. Language could be discovered means language is a system of signs. So a certain system of sign is also discoverable in a myth as well. His work is a structuralist theory of mythology which attempted to explain how seemingly fantastical and arbitrary tales could be so similar across cultures. Seemingly means seemingly there won't be. All across the world you have myths. So seemingly in a direct way that you will feel that these myths are not interrelated. There is no connection between these tales. There is no similarity between these tales. But a close examination of these mythical stories can lead to certain revelations, like there are some relations, some fantastical relations that we can find between the tales all across the culture. Because he believed there are no one authentic version of myth. There is no one authentic version of myth. Diversity of myth will be there, rather that there were all manifestations of the same language. See, all over the world we have different languages, but still human beings actually discovered this language. So because there are languages and people always have the same kind of specialities as human beings everywhere, and everywhere they possess. So all these myths are manifestation of the same language. He sought to find the fundamental units of myth, namely mytheme. So he labeled the fundamental unit of myths as mytheme, and this mytheme is more or less same, and we can see a connection between mytheme, between myths across the cultures. And Levi-Strauss broke each of the versions of a myth down to a series of sentences consisting of a relation between the functions and the subject. So he broke each of the versions of these myths. All over there are too many numerous amount of myths, and he broke myths into various sentences, a series of sentences consisting of a relation between a function and a subject. Now, what Levi-Strauss believed he had discovered when he examined the relation between the mythemes was that a myth consists of juxtaposed binary oppositions. So, mytheme is all about, or a myth will consist of juxtaposed side by side binary oppositions are placed inside myths. So, when he analyzed mythemes, he found this. For example, Oedipus consists of the overrating of blood relations and the underrating of blood relations. Actually contains binary oppositions juxtaposed. How? It has an overrating of blood relations, that you cannot marry your mother. But Oedipus married his own mother without knowing that she is his mother. The situations were like that, and he fell into that. And it's in this play there is no overrating of blood relationships. At the same time, since Oedipus married to his own mother, there is an underrating of blood relations. So in that way, binary oppositions are juxtaposed. The autochthonous origin of humans and the denial of the autochthonous origin. Okay, this is what happens in Oedipus the play. And he got influenced by Hegel. Levi-Strauss believed that the human mind thinks fundamentally in these binary oppositions and their unification, and that these are what makes meaning possible. So these binary oppositions, the presence of binary opposition, he acknowledges, and he says that with the influence of Hegel, he says that human mind thinks in the same way. Human mind thinks, and human mind mainly functions based on this binary opposition, just like we can find in myths. Okay, so how these binary oppositions are working and the unification of binary opposition, what he says, the thesis, antithesis, and the synthesis between the thesis and antithesis, that's what happening in human mind as well. And when you do this synthesis between binary oppositions and their unifications and all, so that's what makes out meaning. inside you. Furthermore, he considered the job of myth to be a sleight of hand, an association of an irreconcilable binary opposition with a concilable binary opposition, creating the illusion or belief that the former had been resolved. Okay, so this is a little bit complicated, but you just read it. Okay, if you don't understand, just leave it. Okay, he considered the job of the myth to be sleight of hand, an association of the irreconcilable binary opposition. So what is the function of the myth? Why myth is needed? In order to associate, bring about the irreconcilable binary opposition with a reconcilable binary opposition. See, two opposites bring together, and it will create an illusion or belief that the former, that is the irreconcilable binary opposition, is resolved. Levi-Strauss seen a basic paradox in the study of myth. There is a paradox when you study myth. On the one hand, mythical stories are fantastic and unpredictable. The context of myth seems completely arbitrary. On the other, the myths of different cultures are surprisingly similar. So this is what I said. So if you closely examine the myths all over the world, or myths of different cultures, seemingly they are arbitrary. There is no connection, and they seemingly fantastic. But if you analyze myths of different culture, they are surprisingly similar. They possess surprisingly similar qualities and similar storyline. Okay, so even because of the cultural variations, we feel that these things are fantastic and unpredictable. At the same time, when you look at a myth, it is fantastic and unpredictable. At the same time, cultures all around, they are surprisingly similar. So this is the paradox that we can see when we study myth. So let's see his concept of bricoleur and engineer. So he discusses this concept in his work, The Savage Mind. Levi-Strauss developed the comparison of the bricoleur and engineer in the work The Savage Mind. Bricoleur has its origin in the old French verb bricoleur, which originally referred to extraneous movements in ball games, billiards, hunting, shooting, and riding. Basically, this word associated to these games, ball games, but which today means to do yourself, building or repairing things with the tools and materials on hand, puttering or tinkering, as it were. So today the meaning bricoleur, nothing related to ball games, but what it means is that do something yourself with the available materials that you have around you. So that's what meant by bricoleur today. That when you do yourself, you are not a trained person, you are not a professional to do this, but you need to do this. So you are doing it yourself, something, you are repairing something, you are making something. So you are doing it yourself, building something or repairing things with the available tools that you have around you. In comparison to the true craftsman or the engineer. So true craftsman is an engineer whom Levi-Strauss calls as engineer. Engineer is not only the engineers that you find nowadays, the trained, the qualified engineers, but the craftsman, though, who is well versed in doing something. So in comparison to that true craftsman, or Levi-Strauss calls that true craftsman as engineer, the bricoleur is adept in many tasks at putting pre-existing things together in new ways, adapting his project to a finite stock of materials and tools. So he has many qualities. Bricoleur, in comparison with the engineer, he has many qualities, like there are some pre-existing things that he or she knows. So bricoleur can put together all these pre-existing things together in new ways and adapting his project in a finite stock of materials and tools. So these are the qualities that he finds about bricoleur. At the same time, the engineer deals with the project in their entirety, conceiving and procuring all the necessary materials and tools to suit his project. While bricoleur is so capable to do many things, engineer is not also that bad. So engineer also can deal with this entire product of making something or repairing something as a project. Look at it at its entirety, and he can conceive and procure all the necessary materials to do that job, and the tools he can select in order to do that job which is suitable to that subject, suitable to that product. Okay. The bricklayer approximate the savage mind, the engineer approximate the scientific mind. So bricklayer, we can see a savage mind in him, and engineer approximate the scientific mind. Levi-Strauss says that the universe of the bricklayer is closed, and he often is forced to make to do with whatever is at hand. So bricklayer has no too many options available, since his universe is closed, like he is forced to use whatever available at hand. Whereas the universe of the engineer is more open. He is able to create new tools and materials. Since he is a professional in doing professional craftsman, it is open. His universe is open, and he is able to create new tools and materials. Sorry to use he, the pronoun here. However, both live within a restrictive reality. Even though Strauss says that bricklayer has certain opportunities, while engineer also has certain opportunities, but both live in a restrictive reality, and so the engineer is forced to consider the pre-existing set of theoretical and practical knowledge of technical means in a similar way to the bricklayer. So even though they seemingly they are different, but they are the same things. Bricklayer and engineer, they are the same. They need to, both of them need to, engineer need to use and consider pre-existing set of theories and practical knowledges that he or she has, and technical means that at hands that sometimes he need to use. And same as bricklayer, he or she need to use pre-existing set of theoretical and practical knowledge. Simply just like that, you cannot do anything even though you are an engineer. And bricklayers too have to use certain tools in order to bring about certain things, and do certain things. So bricklayer, engineer, these two are same things. Sometimes an engineer is a bricklayer, sometimes a bricklayer is an engineer as well. Okay. So these are the major concepts by Levi-Strauss. Now let's see some major texts by Claude Levi-Strauss. The Structural Study of Myth, published in 1955. The Structural Anthropology, published in 1963. The Savage Mind in 1966. The Raw and the Cooked came out in 1964. The Origin of Table Manners in 1968. The Naked Man in 1971. Structural Anthropology, published in 1973. Myth and Meaning in 1978. The Way of the Masks in 1982. So these are the major works. The Structural Study of Myth, Structural Anthropology, The Savage Mind, The Raw and the Cooked, The Origin of Table Manners, The Naked Man, Structural Anthropology, Myth and Meaning, The Way of the Mask. Okay. I think that's all about Claude Levi-Strauss. Maybe some points of him is a little bit confusing and difficult to follow. If you have any questions and queries, do mention that in the comment section. And also follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon. And also press the like button if you like this video. And also visit my website after the free trial. Let me know your impressions. And if you want to know anything more, use this WhatsApp number or Instagram ID to reach me. And thanks for watching this video. That's all about it. Meet you in the next video session. Until then, stay tuned to High Point and be happy wherever you are, guys, and strive for your best in your life. Ta-ta, bye-bye.